Let's talk about the cost of being a bridesmaid. Hello, Hayes. How do I stop being mad at my maid of honor for how expensive her wedding is getting? I'm one of her bridesmaids, and from the dress to the bachelorette to the check I'll write as a gift, the cost is close to $1,200. Her family's doing their best to cover some costs. Like, I know she booked hair and makeup for the bridesmaids, but she keeps saying that she's trying to get deals with other vendors for food and photos. I feel bad that I'm so grouchy about this, but why are costs being cut everywhere except where I'm expected to spend? How do I support her, Hayes, without feeling like I'm spending an insane amount of money on the wedding? I got it. I mean, $1,200 is a lot of money to spend on a wedding. And I think a lot of people can relate to this frustration. This story is bigger than you and I writing letters to each other, and I think the ultimate solution involves hosts and guests doing things differently. I'd love to see brides and grooms being more thoughtful about what they're asking of guests, and also being really direct with their guests in the beginning about how much everything's gonna cost. Guests should be honest about what they can't or won't do financially. This might mean declining someone's wedding or bachelorette party if it would put you in a bind financially, or if you'd be so bitter about it that it would impact your friendship. For your story, we first need to establish whether you're just venting, or if you wanna actually do something that could change how much you potentially spend on this wedding. Because you do have choices here, and it's a personal decision which one to make. I'm gonna run through some of the choices, and if none of these sound like something that you'd reasonably do, just wait for my tough love solution at the end. The first choice, if you can't swing the cost of this wedding, or you just won't on principle, I think you can tell her that you can't make the bachelorette. If she's currently the maid of honor in your wedding, I imagine you're close enough to have direct, uncomfortable conversation. In person, with your own flair, you could say something like, can't swing the cost of all of the events leading up to the wedding, and since I want to be able to do the dress and everything else associated for the weekend, I think the best option is that I don't join the bachelorette. I love you and I want you to have the best time, and I thought that maybe we could get our nails together before or do something local to celebrate. There'll be repercussions of saying you don't want to go to the bachelorette or you can't go to the bachelorette, maybe. On the less extreme side, you can go to the bachelorette and just get her a less expensive wedding gift, like write a smaller check. Another thought is that if the bachelorette has not been planned yet, you can have a conversation with the bride or with her maid of honor in advance about your financial situation and what you're going to be able to spend. I have strong opinions about the best way to handle, like talking with the bridesmaids about how much money they're going to spend and seeing what everyone's comfortable with, so maybe we'll do another video on that. If you can afford it, and if you're not going to do any of those things I mentioned, you're not going to do anything to cut costs for yourself, then I think we've arrived at the part where you need to stop grumbling about it. Be gentle with yourself though, because I do understand. I imagine there are some tricky dynamics coming into play, especially if you're planning weddings at the same time and you might have different budgets. Maybe you're doing a bit of the comparison thing, which is totally normal and natural to do at your wedding and could definitely be making you feel wound up. But ultimately, if you're gonna go, you're gonna spend the money. I think you'll feel better if you start to replace the negative thoughts about your friend in the situation with positive ones. We can't positive self-talk our way out of everything, but I think this type of situation, like if you're gonna do nothing about it and you're gonna go and you're gonna spend the money, instead of saying, I'm so pissed that I'm spending this money on her, how could she be so selfish? It's, I'm glad that I'm fortunate enough to spend this money on somebody that I love. It's a tricky one.